Hi, how's it going?
Good. You're Josh?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Josh. I'm Timo.
It's great to meet you, and thank you
Hey,
very much for taking time to do this interview.
of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. Well, it's great to be able to talk to you and be able to talk about some brand new music from Netherlands coming out next
Sweet.
month.
I appreciate it. It's not even, it's next week.
Oh, next week. So,
It's a week from today.
oh, oh yeah, that's right. My apologies. Yeah,
Oh, it's cool. I mean,
time's flying by so fast and so
that's
slow.
true.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that it's already coming out on March 31st, that's what I meant to say. And
Yeah,
it's just like it's so cool to see that this is already coming out next week.
great. I know time flies. I can't even believe it. Yeah. But yeah,
Oh,
it'll upon us. Yes.
so thinking about that, I mean, how does that feel for you knowing that it's already coming out next week?
That's great. I mean, like it's been a long time coming. It's great because the people that are labeled smart, super nice, and they've just been very they've just been really they have a great vibe and they're totally have their shit together and it's exciting. They've actually like organized the whole thing in a way that works, and so that's it's good news. And yeah, it's great. There's vinyl coming out, and then there's videos, and we've done PR. So yeah, as far as the execution of the whole thing, it's amazing. I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, and that's one thing that doesn't get talked about enough is like the people behind the scenes. I mean, obviously it's important who you're working with to be able to create the music that you're creating, but when you have the right producers, when you have the right people to mix and master, you have the right PR team, you have the right label. I mean, there's so many things that go into it, and when you can find the right people to be able to promote the album that you're able to accomplish and be able to show that off into a greater light, it's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, as much as possible, as long as all the moving parts, they all like are working in concert in they're synchronized actually properly. The thing, in a way, like the challenging part is like at least the ongoing part is making sure that figuring out the optimal strategy for using social media to even to reach your existing fans when the algorithm more and more just squashes the reach of your of your post unless you pay for stuff. So it's become harder and harder to actually just use the existing platforms that we have to promote all the stuff. It totally still works, but that's kind of like the wild card sometimes, because you're like, hey, like everything is happening, and then we do this, and some things seem to naturally have more reach than other things, and so it's just confounding sometimes. But otherwise, yes, the answer is yes. I've pretty much dialed in the whole thing by now in terms of like the administrative side and also the technical side and everything.
Oh, for sure. And I'm glad to see that. And this is some of the most promotion that I've seen for Netherlands over the years as well, too. And it's so great to see that. I constantly keep getting press releases for it. Obviously the promo, which I've gotten to check out, and I've listened to it several times now, just trying to wrap my mind and get deeper into the music. Because the thing that is so great about Netherlands is like it takes multiple listens to really be able to appreciate everything going on because it is so dense. There's so many layers going on, the lyrical content, of course, and the more that you listen to it, the more that you're able to grab onto it. And I definitely hear that with this new album as well. I mean, there's so many different genre bending moments going on throughout this album, but the more that you get it, the more cohesive it starts to feel after multiple listens, the more you're able to appreciate it and fully grasp everything going on.
That's beautiful. Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you even had that you were that not generally feel that way about it, but that you were actually able to have that experience with it, which makes me feel like that's my intention. So in that respect, if you're able to absorb all the multiple dimensions of the thing, then that's a success. So thank you very much.
Oh, for sure. So thinking about that, I mean, obviously with this already being the ninth album through Netherlands, I mean, what is that like for you to be able to have like nine albums under this moniker?
I don't know. It's a good question. Like, in a way, like, it's it's like I think just on an artistic level, it makes me, especially now that this we're on the eve of actually the sort of release and the actual presentation of this record into the world. Um, it makes me kind of like wonder. I'm already kind of like latently kind of thinking about like what I would want the next wave to be, because in general, like as I think, at least I'd like to think that I just haven't been making the same record over and over again, like at all. you know so overall, I mean, of course, I mean, if it's possible to answer your question, I'm actually really proud of the work. I mean, I like all the albums. Our earlier albums, I think, are, at least in my subjective opinion, are as strongly developed or even executed as anything we're doing now. So, if anything, looking back, that was yeah, it's been over 10 years now. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just grateful to have. I'm grateful just to even be still doing this with this band, and I'm proud of the work. And so, it remains to be seen to try to keep on just just being trying to be effectively creative within this genre or whatever.
Oh, for sure. And I can easily say that, at least from my point of view, from being able to check out the back catalog over the years and now listening to the new album, it's like, I don't think you've written in the same style twice, let alone writing the same album twice or the same song twice. Like, it always feels like every song is creatively different from the next one. And again, I just feel that throughout the new album, it's really there. I mean, whether it's more drone out, whether it's more of like a progressive side, whether it's sludgier, whether it's a little poppier. I mean, there's a little bit of everything for everyone on this album, amongst the chaos going on, which I really appreciate. But it's just like there is so much going on, and that creativity really is flowing.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I really, really appreciate that. Like, and I was gonna, in general, I'd say like, you know, the third act, like the third of the record, is where it kind of gets a little sort of like tonally a little more adventurous, you know, and like I don't know. I mean, like I just really I don't want to. It's on the my intention is closer. I'd like to think is like something that's being theatrical or and I don't want to sound pretentious, but ideally it's something that's trying to be a little more cinematic as opposed to just a collection of 10 songs where there's a couple of slow ones and where it's explicitly all of it's created with an explicit theatrical arc, and that we also don't have to play the same type of music over and over again, which I feel like I mean, to your point, like I just appreciate that you, in this case, at least, seem to be on the side of understanding what the fuck I'm trying to do with it. But yeah, it definitely it doesn't go over with everybody, which I'm used to now. Like, I'm used to people just saying that like saying that like it sucks for that reason, which of course hurts my heart a little bit. But I can't take it too personally because it's a little late in the game for me to to take any of this kind of stuff personally. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that your way of framing that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, not a problem. And yeah, I love that. And I love the fact that you continue to feel that way about the music that you create too. I mean, you want it to be a conceptual piece. If you're making an album, you want all of it to make sense together. And, I definitely hear that throughout the album, like the more that I listen to it. And I'm always going to be an album guy. I love listening from start to finish. I'm not really an EP guy. I'm not really just listening to the singles. I like listening to the whole collective. So when I'm able to appreciate it from start to finish and go through all these peaks and valleys, these highs and lows, the chaotic moments, the slower moments, the poppier moments, I mean, there's so much to appreciate going on. And especially with that first listen, not knowing what was going to come next, that gets me excited when I listen to an album because it could be something completely different than what I imagined. It could be something better than I imagined. You just never know. And that's what I appreciate about what you do.
Thank you. That's amazing. Thanks so much. That's generally that's the MO that I have to it. I listen to and kind of approach not only making them, but also just listening to records the same way, and like kind of hoping that like artists aren't like they don't necessarily feel beholden or bound by having to just stay within necessarily to like not be adventurous. I want to be surprised. I don't know if I want to be like jarringly, I don't want to be like insulted or something. You know what I mean? I don't want someone to be messing with my patience level or something. But I'd like to think there's nothing. I'm not just at least I'm the chances relatively that I feel like I'm taking are not like they're not radical. Like what I mean? It's not as if it veers off and becomes like a like an R&B record or something, which is nothing against that if anybody else wanted to do that. But with Netherlands particularly, I just think it's funny because people like relatively, I think people today were either art rock or experimental or avant-garde, or to me, I'm kind of like, no, there's like some slightly adventurous stuff. But to me, it's like, it's not like, it's not that radical. I don't think so anyway. But then of course I'm subjective and I'm me. So I don't know. Someone else might totally disagree with me or whatever.
Oh yeah, and you're totally working within your palettes and knowing what colors work together to be able to create the music that you're looking for. I mean, if you ever decide to do like an R&B drone grime pop album, it's like if you keep it like within the core sound of what the band is all about, I think it could work out. But you also want to be able to be adventurous, but also be able to know that this is Netherlands. This is what you're looking to create. This is what I want to be able to have the lyrics be about. This is the production style. I mean, as long as you maintain it being yourself, I think it's always going to come off that way.
I hope so. I mean, I appreciate that. Like, it's funny, like, just as a matter of fact, this is something that, like, most people, obviously, in the context of people knowing about, even having any awareness or any awareness, even idea about Netherlands, my band, that are less aware. I have this other parallel, hugely varied world of solo music where I do all the other things like fully, um, under my own name and then under under various other pseudonyms. But in the Netherlands, particularly, like, yeah, in a certain way, the challenge is to, like, you're sort of suggesting, is to be able to actually, to take some chances, but then not actually sort of go off the rails of, like, in a funny way, like with sludge and hard rock and metal and stuff, there are actually, it's like they're kind of formal rules. They're like genre rules. Like, in a way, it's not the most, it historically, maybe more, it's more, people are more and more, it's more fusion. People are more and more open-minded, and it's actually kind of more like a genre adventurous now at this point in time, the last 10 years, than it ever has been before, which is amazing. But at the same time, like, I realize it's like, I have to kind of keep it within certain aesthetic parameters, or I run the risk of possibly, like, totally losing people, even more than I almost run the risk of losing people with the way I do it now. So I mean, I don't mind it. This, even like, this was a few years ago that I put a cover on there, and I put a ballad, like the song Silencio, which is on Severance, which I think is one of the best fucking songs I've ever written, is like it's like a mournful, like, 50s ballad, you know but it's cool. It's got, I'm honestly, I think it works in the fucking story and the album. And yeah, I'm just saying, it's not like an anomaly. But then some other people might be like, it's an anomaly, and then, like, whatever. So it's like different strokes or whatever.
Oh, for sure. But that's also part of the creative process as well, too. I mean, if you're getting enjoyment out of it, I think people listening to it will be able to appreciate that as well, too. I mean, as long as it doesn't sound forced and it doesn't sound like you're just like trying to put things together that's not going to work and it never felt right to you, but you feel like you have to put it out anyways. As long as that creative freedom is there and you feel like you're going in the right direction, I think I mean, especially when you think of Severance, it's like, again, there's so many different genres and styles going on there, but it is cohesive the more that you listen to it, like I
Dude,
mentioned before.
high five. Amazing. Thank you. Of course, that's the fucking idea. So I'm glad that it worked for you, and hopefully it'll work for others. It will, which ideally it will work for others the same way, etc.
Oh, definitely. And for like any ideas that doesn't work in Netherlands, I mean, you've got so many different outlets that you're able to work with, whether it's on your own, you're able to work with other amazing musicians. I mean, your resume and clientele is just incredible with everyone that you've been able to work with. I mean, you're able to try all these different ideas and different styles and different ways. I mean, it's cool. I mean, whether you're able to focus on Netherlands, whether you're working solo, whether you're guesting with other people, there's so many different ways to be able to show that creativity off.
That's true. Yeah, and I have like yeah, that is 100% true. Like, in my case, like, I mean, also, I'm just in the process of, like, reorganizing and uh coming up. I'm figuring out, like, a way to organize and name, frame, and kind of, to release a bunch of I have a handful of unreleased, fully finished solo albums that I just didn't want to self-release because I wanted to try to find the right, like, kind of label allies, and I wanted to just not just release them on my own channels. I wanted to actually have these various records have a greater reach than they would if it was just me releasing stuff. But they're hugely just to answer your question, like, I'm already fully, I'm simultaneously, like, doing like an elaborate amount of solo stuff that is, like, huge genre fluid and crazy, and that, like, like, incorporates some electronic music and some, like, electronic classical music, and then like a bunch of like weirdo lo-fi, like groove oriented stuff, and then some traditional old school electro funk and hip hop stuff. And then, there's a three baritone ukulele albums that I never released on any of the DSPs that are, I believe those are actually also my best albums. They're not like strummy Hawaiian, they're more like classical. They're like baritone ukulele based like prog rock albums. And so I'm just saying I'm doing all that stuff at the same time as I'm doing Netherlands. So that's just to answer your question. I'm fully exploring. I'm fully expressing all that stuff at the same time. So anybody that cares or interested over the next year or two, you'll probably ideally end up hearing about you, particularly end up hearing about it.
Well, it's definitely piqued my interest. I mean, hearing the unreleased stuff, the new stuff that you're working on. I mean, all the descriptions of just the little amount that you've talked about so far already has grabbed my attention. I'm very excited to see what's going to be coming out of that, and I can only imagine I'm so curious about how your mind works like that. I mean, whether you're doing everything completely by yourself, whether you're working with other people, like how is that for you, like management wise, when you're trying to put together songs and you're working with other people or you're working by yourself? Like, how are you able to manage that for yourself?
It's funny, like in the band is obviously like over the years, and currently it's actually like it's a group situation, like where in this case, although in the last since after the pandemic, during and after the pandemic, I actually pivoted toward being like an enhanced duo. So I'm playing with a live drummer. I'm playing obviously live, but we're playing with an extremely eccentric, like not MIDI gridded backing bass track, meaning it's a handmade. It's not like on a fixed grid. So it's got all the slow downs, and the choruses speed up and the verses slow down. And there's also breaks and places for improv. So it's a very untraditional, I believe, backing track. We're playing as a duo right now. So, but it's closer to being like a traditional, like more than one person playing music, people, a group of people playing together. Otherwise, like I have like a long ass practice of, just because I'm a multi instrumentalist. I'm a drummer first. I play bass and guitar and sing, and I have rudimentary keyboard chops, but enough to like play keyboards in all my records. So I can and do like very very easily and very sort of obsessively. I just do make full ensemble music by myself, and I've been doing that for a long ass time. So that's kind of my natural, in a way, the thing I've spent as much, or I've probably spent more time being like a recording art, and doing everything by myself and making full blown albums with full instrumentation of me playing everything. So that comes easily to me. I mean, it comes naturally because I've been doing that for decades now at this point.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, that is so cool. Like, it's like you start off with percussion and then you're able to gravitate towards all of these other instruments, and you're able to lay out the visions in your mind of what you want to be able to create, and you're able to create it yourself. And I also imagine when you do work with other people, like whether you're working with a live drummer or you're guesting on with other musicians, they're able to inspire other ideas for you as well, too, whether you lay them out or it's in the future or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have the great good fortune to have been playing and still play regularly with a group of people in my network that totally blow my fucking mind on a regular basis, that are just mind-blowingly creative and just killer players of all different genres. And so it definitely keeps me like on my toes. Like I'm playing with people that are above that, the bar is very high with the people that I'm playing with, and so it forces me to practice and to stay humble and to actually like whatever, try to keep my mind open. And I want to, but yeah, it's extremely important for me to like just to continue to try to like just to get out of my regular habituated like comfort zones of everything, which is on a philosophical level is just naturally why I just end up wanting to make so much different kinds of music, just because I have you know hugely varied tastes, and I have enough of a skill level that I can execute at least a lot of it, or as much as I can.
Oh yeah, and if there's anything that you feel like could be evaluated by someone else, or if you just want to work with someone else, you have that Rolodex of people that you're able to work with, or maybe some outside people, whatever the case may be. I mean, it definitely sounds like you do work with some high caliber musicians, and when you're able to do that, I mean, just being able to play with those people or watching them play, it's gonna rub off on you, and it's gonna inspire you to either work on a new instrument or work on a new technique for an instrument or whatever might happen.
That's right. It's true. Like in this case, like just for one example, there's a guy named Paul Wilson who is just an absolute terrifyingly badass, like virtuoso, master level keyboard player who played who plays some bass on Severance. He played some keyboard bass on it, but he plays keyboards in another band, another ensemble that I play bass in. And like just even having him, it's like basically like it's like being friends with Herbie Hancock or something. It's like being able to call Herbie Hancock and have him play on my records because he's like really that good. And it's fucking, it's humbling. It's crazy. I mean, like honestly, I'm not exaggerating. Like he really is that incredible. So even the fact that I'm lucky enough to be able to actually regularly collaborate and just even play music to jam and write and whatever, even just to hang out with people like that is fucking incredible. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
Oh, for sure. So, thinking about that in mind, I mean, whether you're doing everything by yourself or you're working with someone, for the writing experience with Severance, was there like any major things that you learned about yourself or learned about an instrument or your craft or anything like that when it came to this writing cycle?
And this one, like overall, like I mean, in a, I mean, truthfully, not like I guess the challenge for me is to just to try to actually have like we were sort of touched on before is to actually start kind of coalescing like a group of stuff and actually like make sure to try to have not just repeat the same melodic motifs or lyrical like to just to not repeat things and to also see if I can kind of like organize like this sort of woolly, this kind of like not fully coherent yet set of ideas in such a way where I can kind of structure, it's like writing a book or something, maybe, or a movie, where I can structure it in a way where it actually starts to like, it starts to like, it starts to make sense. It starts to like narratively or emotionally or musically just fucking work, even make sense. And so that's different every time. That's sort of like that kind of varies depending on the elements, the ingredients, but overall, particularly like I don't think I think well I mean I don't think I necessarily like at least in this record necessarily radically broke new ground with some kind of different vision for stuff. But for me, the challenge, the part where I tried to is to make sure that I don't know what's happening here. The to make sure that the bar that I exceed my own expectations. It's got to be the best fucking thing ever. It's got to be better than my last record. It's got to be the best fucking thing I've ever done. And that's my foundational MO with doing anything. So that's in that respect, it's always novel. It's always going to be like a new mountain. It's going to be a different challenge or whatever. That's just the way I operate.
Oh, for sure. So thinking about that a little deeper, like, do you have any like preconceived ideas when you start going into like a Severance, for example? Was there like any preconceived ideas, or did you just like start playing around and started coming up with ideas? Like, how did that happen?
Well, in this case, it's funny. Like I've only done this a couple of other times. I mean, maybe one or two other times out of all the albums, but like I wanted the one, excuse me, the conceptual frame that I wanted to have that I explicitly made sure that I was adhering to in this context was making sure that I was writing songs that I can actually play. Because with the studio, it's possible to like, especially like if if I do drums or something, and if I demo and I do a drum thing and I write some kind of difficult or very impossible, relatively, or just a very difficult guitar part that like, and then like, and then like, end up writing a vocal part that's exceptionally difficult to play at the same time. Like I wanted to write a record this time where I wouldn't have to like, do like Olympic training to like even just be able to execute these fucking songs I've written. Because just for example, with just Collie Corvette, the previous record wasn't created. That was created like just as like studio phenomena. That all those songs were not written, with a couple of exceptions. Weren't written with the intention of playing them. And so then it became, when we got a record deal for it with 31G, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to learn these songs. And some of them were exceptionally difficult, almost to the point of it not being fun, because I was like, it's like, I painted myself into a corner with, by writing something or just creating a recording or something that wasn't like, as it's assigned to something of someone, but I've played the guitar and it's obviously something that even if it's technically challenging, but it's not like so difficult that I have to like, like take lessons to like even play my own music. But there's nothing wrong with that. I'm certainly, obviously I did it and I had to do that this time. But with Severance, I was like, you know what, I'm going to write songs that I can actually play and sing at the same time. And so other than that, that was pretty much it though. And they're also not that easy though either. So it's not as if it's not like some peddling indie rock thing. It's fucking there's some, not which also nothing against that either, but yeah, it's yeah, I wanted to do stuff that wasn't like some technically impossible challenge for me. And I think I did that this time, relatively.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I mean, it's obvious not just not like four chord songs and a bridge. I mean, there's obviously a lot that goes into these songs, and the fact that you were able to accomplish being able to either play guitar or sing over or whatever the case is, with some really extreme examples going on throughout the album. I mean, that really says a lot to your talents and how you're able to continue to grow as a musician and as a songwriter when you can take things that sound very, very challenging, whether it's just a hands-on listener or another musician, they're able to listen to it and see all these complex parts, and you're able to actually perform these, not just in the studio, but in a live setting. That's incredible.
Thank you. Like in a way, I think I appreciate. Thank you. That's the idea. Like in this case, like my ability to be able to syncopate my body and my voice doing different things is entirely based on the fact that I've been a professional drummer, like a singing drummer at different times as a sideman in different bands. Like just not only that, but also just being a drummer first in terms of like the independence of my limbs and stuff. Um, generally puts me at a certain level in terms of actually being able to, for example, to sing things that have different rhythmic counterpoint with what's going on with my body. But then in my case, it's also like with the crazy amount of pedal moves and all that stuff, because I'm running a bunch. There's a bunch of really elaborate arrangements in each song, not only for the guitar sound, but for vocals too, because I'm running all my own vocal pedals too. And like I can do it now, but like I've been practicing doing this for many years now, so I can there's a certain level of skill that I have with it. But at the same time, it's like it's always I end up like giving myself cutting my workout for myself by giving myself a lot of stuff to do, because like there's 5 things I have to do coming up on this course. It's not just like and kick on the distortion. It's like da 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 da. I have to do that in like 1 second while I'm singing, and so sometimes it's a little stressful. Like it's I mean, but I don't mind. I think that's the job. That's the job I've created. That's the role that I've created for myself. But yeah, hopefully, in a way, like I can do reasonably sophisticated things in terms of singing and playing at the same time. But yeah, like I said, I've been trying to get away from doing stuff that I actually can't even play because that's stupid. I mean, it's just silly.
Uh, but again, just like from the listener aspect, being a drummer myself, I mean, there's so much that I can appreciate about what's going on with the music here, and the fact that, again, it's like, yeah, you started off with drums and percussion, and you were able to learn how to play all these other instruments. You were able to learn how to sing. You're able to play multiple things at the same time, mess with all these pedals, do all these things, and be able to be creatively rewarded as well too. Like you're creating the music that you want to make, you're able to work with the musicians that you want to, whether you're just playing together, whether you're recording, whether it's a live setting, guest session. I mean, there's so many things that go on to it, and again, it's so impressive, all the work that you've been able to accomplish with everything that you do. And again, just thinking about everything that I've learned from listening to Severance and being able to learn more about the creative and writing process this time around with the new album, I've got a deeper appreciation for it. I've learned so much about you and your writing style and how you go about things, and it's been amazing being able to talk to you about all of it, and being able to promote the new record from Netherlands, Severance, coming out next week through Smart Records.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate your thoughtful consideration in your questions. I really appreciate it. I was going to say, like, if you even privately or whatever, like, This is just for I can if it's possible to include a link. We actually put out a live album with a video like 3 weeks ago from our record release party at St. Vitus, which happened in November. Pro audio, pro video, multi-camera thing. So I'm just saying, if anybody that's even watching, if anybody's watching this, if they want to get a sense for what the hell I'm talking about, aside from the studio records, which are actually like, these layered multi-track overdubbing studio phenomena. If you want to get it, if you want, anybody wants to get a sense for how it actually happens live, I can send you a link or whatever.
Oh yeah, that'd be incredible. I'd be sure to put that in the description and everything. Make sure that's all included. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Awesome, thank you. And also, even privately, I'll send you my ukulele albums if you want to hear my awesomely weird, fucking sad ukulele prog rock albums. I'll send you those too.
Yeah, again, that sounds really intriguing to me. I'd love to check that out.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, again, it's been a great time being able to talk to you. Again, I have a deeper appreciation for what you do and the bands and the artists that you work with. It's just been an incredible time learning your creative process, and I thank you so much for taking the time to be able to talk to me about all of it.
Of course, thank you. Can I just briefly plug the thing here?
Oh
Like
yeah,
any
sure thing.
if anybody that's in the New York area, our Severance comes out a week from today, which is this is being taped on Friday, March 24th. Our records coming out on Smart Records everywhere, where all the things are, on March 31st. And anybody, we're doing kind of like a sort of an informal record release party, playing the bulk of these songs really for the first time, uh, in their entire, in this many of the songs from the new record, on April 26th, Wednesday at St. Vitus, with an awesome band called Planet B, with Justin Pearson from 31G of Def Club and The Locust. And so it's just Planet B and Netherlands at St. Vitus, which is going to be essentially be the record release party for Severance on Wednesday, April 26th at St. Vitus in Greenpoint.
Oh, that definitely sounds like it's going to be a great show and a great time at that.
It'll be cool. Yes, it'll be great.